actually there are a couple of, there are two questions. First thing, in the previous class, so it's already 9 o'clock, let us get started. In the previous class, we had an issue about, the authentication thing, right? So that we are repeating on Monday, because on Sunday we have RxJS, Angular by Sukesh sir. So we are going to go and repeat that on Monday. Today we'll take some new topics out here. And I feel that, that day when I took this topic of JWT, right? A lot of things, went in one go. So I thought that today, why not take small pieces together, and then must be on Monday when I take this OpenID and API management, it would be better, right? So today, let us take this first question out here of the day. Okay, so let me get started out here and let us see. Full screen snip. Answers are already down below. So if you want, you can look at the answers down below, but it's not about the answers. It is about the demonstrations. So we are developing a simple application, right? So you have a web application. Must be assume you have a .NET Core application, right? Right, and you need to register this application, this .NET Core application, with Azure Active Directory. So, that means that if I hit this .NET Active Directory, .NET Core, I'm sorry, if I hit this .NET Core, then it should actually first validate through AD and then go to .NET Core. Very simple like this. I think, we need everywhere, right? Like you host an application out there and you want it to be protected, right? And you want it to be protected by AD, right? So how do we do that, right? So here you can see he has given some actions out here saying that what will you do if you want to register an application with Active Directory, security, what things we need to do, right? So let us get started. So I'm going to go here. The first thing, as usual, let me go and host an application service. So what I'll do, you can see I have this .NET Core application out here. Let me quickly go and host it. So let me create an app service out here. Remember guys, in every class, I repeat some certain things. Like I create app services again, must be I create SQL Server again. Why? Because we have a lot of new people who come in between of the training, right? So must be they can also follow it. So it takes me more 5 minutes. It revises you as well. And as well, the other people can look into this, right? So I will, in order to host my .NET Core service, I will use the app service. So remember, when you say you want to host on website, you will first create an app service. So very quickly, let me do this. And let me add everything to a resource here called as REST1 so that I can delete this afterwards, right? So I can just say this is QuestPond app. So QuestPond app.azurewebsites.net. Select runtime stack .NET Core 3.1. Now there are certain tricks which you can use, which you can minimize your cost when you are learning out here. Just quickly hang on. I just want to check something. Okay, right. So I'm sorry. So just quickly, there are some of the things here which you can really help you to minimize the cost. For example, you can see that I have selected here Premium V2 as my my CPU or my core or my server. So what you can do is you can change this size and you can choose some free one. So you can see this is a production one, right? So when you're learning, you don't want to select a production one. You want to select something more free. So what you can do is you can use this dev and test, and you can see there is a shared 1 GB memory, 60 minutes of day compute for free. You can always select this. So what will happen is your cost of Azure will come down while you are learning, right? So I've selected free F1 and everything looks good. But I will still get billed for the hard disk. So they will charge me somewhere, right? So create, I really like, what these guys are doing. So assume that I am on, like if they give me such kind of free server online, a lot of times what happens is, as a developer, we want to give a test site to the end user. And for that, we have to buy some service. So Azure would be a great way to look at it, right? And what I've also seen is, just quickly for everyone out here until this app service gets created. For example, this is my pay-as-you-go subscription. And I have been using this left and right, to show demos. So for example, in the last week, I hosted Azure database for Postgre. You can see my bills out here. And I hosted for approximately 10 days. right? So you can see the app service cost comes like 86 rupees, and the Postgre came like 500 rupees approximately, and my total bill is 600 rupees. So that's good, right? You know, rather than going and hosting somewhere, and then I've deleted it. After the demo happened, I just deleted it because the customer saw the demo, he was quite happy, and then we'll see where he wants to host it, right? So must be, you can just keep checking your bills, but I've seen that uh, if you use miserly, I think your bills can reduce, right? So small things out there. You can see now our app service has been created, deployment succeeded. So let us now go to our Visual Studio, and let me go and publish this website, right? So I'll just go and publish this website. Remember, the goal here is that we want to go and protect our application with Azure AD, Active Directory, right? So build, publish, and yeah, publish this. Oh, sorry, it's taking some new one. Oh, we have to cancel this. It's taking this old one. Uh-oh, this was an old. So build, publish. I want to just create a new one. So is the app service Windows or app service Linux? So it was Windows out here. So I'll just say create a new profile. We don't have to create a new one, right? So we have to use an existing one. So let's not create a new one. Select existing. That existing one was on resource one, Questpond app. I'll select this and let me go and hit publish. So now this application will get published onto our server out there, right? Great. Now, what is the next step we have to do? So let me go and draw on the whiteboard. So the application is getting published, but let me show you certain steps out here. Also quickly, guys, quickly, you know, this, I was teaching someone in the morning. This diagram is before me. This diagram explains scalability and flexibility of Azure. A lot of times, you know, as a developer, you must be thinking that scalability and flexibility is one and the same thing, right? But scalability means as the load increases, you will increase the server. But once the server has increased, it does not decrease automatically if the load decreases. So when you say something is scalable in Azure, it goes from, let's say from 100 user, you go to 500 user, 2 servers will be added. 1000 user, 3 server will be added, right? That is termed as scalability. But flexibility means you actually increase the server, and if the load decreases, you decrease the server, right? So in morning, I was explaining someone this agility, scalability, and flexibility. So remember, in Azure, whenever you are using these words like scalability, flexibility, and fault tolerance, and high availability, and disaster recovery, they are not one and the same, right? Must be, when I get a chance, we will talk about it. So very quickly, I'm so sorry. The diagram was there and it came before me. Okay, so here it is. My Questpond app is already running, right? So that is good. But let us think about now what we need to do. So we have our Questpond app application, but this is having anonymous access for now. It is having anonymous access, and we want it to be accessed through Active Directory. That's what we want, right? So now first thing, if you want to go and register anything into Active Directory, so that means that this application has to be registered into Active Directory. For example, think about Facebook. In Facebook, if you want to go and register any application, you have to say developer.facebook.com, and then you register it, right? So you have to say that my application is trustworthy and I want to register it with Facebook. In the same way here also, you want to go and register this Questpond application with Active Directory, right? So now there are two ways to do it. One is you can go out here and you can say register an application. So you can go from this route, app registration. You can go from here and create an app registration, right? Or what you can do is you can see like I have one app registration here created. I'll delete this, but I can go here. I can create a new registration out here and I can put down things. That is one way of doing it. Let us do like this. Let us go ahead and do this way. Let's create an app registration. So, okay. So one, you can do the app registration from here, or one, what you can do is you can go to your app service, means your website. So you can go to your Questpond app, and from here, you can go to authentication and authorization out here. And you will say out here that enable authentication on this app, right? So if you say enable authentication, then he says, okay, so how do you want to authenticate your app? Do you want to authenticate your app from a Facebook? You want to authenticate your app from somewhere? So I'll say authenticate my app from Azure Active Directory. Now, when you say you want to go and add this Azure Active Directory as your authentication process, right? So you can see here, I have selected Azure Active Directory authentication. It says express or advanced. So in advance means you will have to pay money. So express is like, I'll not say it is free one, but it has less features out here, right? So for now, I will just go and select express out here. And over here, you will see, can you see here, it is create an app. So either I can create an app and I can select from here, select an existing AD app, or else I have to create an app. So I have to register the app out here. So you can see here, this is register app. So create an app. He's going to go and create an app. Fine. So I'll create the app as Questpond app register. So this, it just says that this is a registered Questpond app. Remember, again, I repeat, you can register the what do you call the app, and then you can select the existing one, or you can just do it from here. So I'm going to go and just say okay, and there it is. So you can see now this has been configured, and I will just go ahead and save it, right? So at this moment, my website, should pop up me something, right? So let us see that if that happens or not. It will not happen actually automatically. So first thing, I'll try to refresh this, and let's see what happens. It's I'm not expecting it will happen. So waiting for it. And you can remember it is slow. Why it is slow? Because we are hosted on a free server, right? 1 GB RAM, right? I don't know what is that. So it's on a free server, but good for testing. So refresh, and it's nothing is happening, and that is understood. First, some small checks out here. You can see here, it says, if you go and see here, anonymous access is still enabled. Anonymous access is still enabled. User will not be prompted for login, right? So that means I have to disable this anonymous access. I really don't understand this. When I have selected here Active Directory, why I have to select this step? Fine, I do that. So I'll say login with Azure Active Directory. Now that makes it not anonymous access, right? Create a new application. Cannot please check if there is an application with the same name. I did not get it. What is it doing? Looks like he again tries to create it. Don't say that. Login with Azure Active Directory, save it. Cannot create a new application. Please check if there is an application with the same name or some conflict URL. Okay. I don't know why it is not going from this place. Let me see, what do I have? Yeah, there it is. So that's what I'm going to use it. And I've just said login with Active Directory. I don't know what happened. I just reselected it again. So there you can see, I'm looking at the right hand side. So it says saved successfully. It was showing some error. So fine. Now the anonymous access is enabled. Now let us see. Let us go and hit refresh. Let us see what happens. We should oh, that's good. Permission is there, and we need to put something, right? Okay, but that does not look really still good, because I don't want in such a way that somebody will request something, so I will request it and the request comes to me. I just want that he should put the Azure Active Directory and just go in, right? So that means we need to do something more. Means it is not seamless at this moment. Like for example, how you look at Google Docs. In Google Docs, you will first send a request saying that give me access, and then you get something, right? So I don't want such kind of an access. So we need to go and do something else. So let us go back now and let us see that what is in the app registration. So in the app registration, automatically this register Questpond app has been created, right? And it is now pointing towards this directory out here, application ID. So this is all good, right? Now, somewhere here, we need to go and say that please enable this ID tokens. So that is there. Enable ID tokens. That looks good. To enable the implicit grant flow, that he has done it. Let me see why it is showing that. Let me go and open incognito mode. Sometimes it is, let's see here. That's good. It's asking me for a username and a password. I'm more than happy to give it. Sign in. This application is not published by Microsoft. Okay. Oh, it's just a warning. Is it? Okay. Oh, gosh. I'm so stupid. It was just a warning. I just wondered that why it is asking for a consent. I thought it's a consent. So there you can see now my Questpond Azure websites.net. You need to have an Active Directory enabled, right? So very quickly, I'll tell you what I've done. Nothing. I went to the Questpond app. I went to authentication and I enabled authentication out here. And I said that in the Azure Active Directory, we made an entry of an app registration. Remember, this step was done automatically by him. A lot of people do it manually. If you remember, one of the mistakes we were doing in the previous class was that this step I was doing it manually. So it was very complex, right? So now I've not done it manually. I just went through that Azure Active Directory and he did it for me, right? And remember this small checkbox out here, this small checkbox which is out here. Where is the authentication? If you disable this, ID tokens, then it would actually it would actually say that it will need an explicit grant flow. Explicit means somebody has to grant rights to you for this access, right? So any questions? So let us go to the question now. Let us go to the question. Let's see what the question says and let's try to answer it, right? Full snip and let us see the question. Fine. So which are the 3 actions you will perform, right? And I know, and remember in AZ204, you need to also give the sequence. If you make the sequence wrong, it is gone. First thing, select a manifest. I don't think we did anything of that kind, right? Select a new application. Well, we did not do this as well, right? We did not select any kind of new application. Did we add any kind of cryptographic key? No, we did not do this as well, right? So what we did is really, but yes, we created this step also we did not do actually. So we did select the AD instance, right? Okay, this question, okay, this question has created the app registration separately. Please note. The way I showed the demo, the app registration was created automatically, right? Let me do like this. Let me go ahead and let me create an app registration manually, because I think that is very interesting to see. And then let us put that app registration inside this. Then these steps will be clear. You can see out here in this question, Microsoft has done that app, or this question is actually saying the app registration as a separate process, which is right. So let me do like this. Let me, just to justify this answer, let me go ahead and delete this app registration. Let me do this. Let me delete this app registration, right? Let me also make my website disabled from authentication. So I'm just going to make it off out here. Done, right? So that means that my website now can be accessible by anyone, right? So I'm going to go here. And if I copy this just to test it, guys, put down your questions. I will come to the questions. Must be I can once just show the manual way of doing it, and then we will answer that question. Then I'll come back to you guys. But so here you can see now it has anonymous access. I have just disabled that Active Directory and all, right? So now let us go ahead and let's do app registration first. So I'm going to go and create an app registration out here. Register an application. What is the application? The application is Questpond app register, right? So you can see here, when you start configuring yourself, it has a lot of options, right? First thing, do you want only your people in your organization can access this? Do you want from any other organization directory? Like at this moment, this is questpond.com. Do you want, like tcs.com to also access it, right? Then must be you can enable this. The last one here, you say like, okay, do you want even like not only the Azure Active Directory multi-tenant? Multi-tenant means multiple companies. Please understand tenant. I'm sure that you guys you have heard this word. So not only multiple organizations, but also Skype and Xbox and someone else, do you want to access it? So for now, I'll just say keep this, right? Redirect URL. So what is the redirect URL? Once you are able to access once your authentication happens, what is my redirect URL? My redirect URL is my website. So let's put the website out here. So Questmont apps URL. Copy this, and that's my website URL, which you should be coming back, and I'll say register. Great. Now the second thing is, now that you have said that you will take everything manually, so you are now there to configure everything, right? So add a platform. So you can see I've add a platform here. So yes, there is a web platform. Now what is the return URL back? Now this is very important. The return URL over here, should not be like this. It should be of the format your website name plus .auth/login/callback. That's what the advantage is when you create it through Active Directory. You don't have to remember all this. So you can see here, whatever is your website name, you have to say .auth/login/ because that is the URL format he looks at, right? Logout. I don't have any logout URL for now, but we can just keep it like logout. I don't have anything as such, but it's logout, right? Do you want implicit access? Yes, just make it ID tokens, just make it implicit access, and let us save this. So guys, we have registered our application with AD, right? And this is the website URL which I've given out here. Now the next thing is, but still if you go and if you see our website, it's still not, it still does not have the, it's still anonymous access enabled, because you created that, that register service, but you have not associated it with this app, right? So the next step is you will go to security. You will go to authentication and authorization, and you will say enable this, and you will say log in with Azure Active Directory and configure this by using Express. And now you will say that no, don't create a new one. Use this one which I have here. Select app register and say okay, right? And I'll just say save. Now all the steps are all same. The only thing is that now I have created the app register as a separate thing, right? So with this, now let us go back again, and let us see Control V. So again, I should see now the pop-up. Great. So there it is working. I put a proper domain name, a proper AD account, and a login, and permission requested. This application is not published by Microsoft. It is published by Shiv Koirala. So you can always go and log in. Oh, what is that? Why is this showing this error? Hang on. Let us, I think I did too many configurations.
Callback URL is wrong, sir.
Yeah, but that callback URL has to be of that format. Let me change it. So that's a good thing. But I gave it in this way because that format is that way, but let me do this. Let me try to save this. Look at this. So I'm going to go and save this, and let us try now. So because you'll get some other error. Can you see? That's some other error. So that's why that callback URL is definitely that. Somewhere else, I think I have messed up. So let's keep this callback URL. You can see that I got some other error out there. So let's see what else I have not given properly. This URL will be active when returning from the particular authentication. Fine. So this is there. Okay. Let's go back to our website.
Shiv, it is AAD or ADD?
AAD. I think I just AAD, Active Directory. ADD.
Azure Active Directory. Okay, it is.
Yeah, Azure Active Directory. That's what it is.
Okay, because I was thinking it should be ADD.
No, that's right. Actually, it's right. Just let's see what things we have done which is wrong. somewhere I've messed up, so, and what we can also do is we can always go and create, if you see, like, for example, let me do this for you. Let me do this. You can always go and compare. That's what the problem is by Active Directory. Can't I? Okay. It's any step I have missed out there. I have also given the notes. Let me see the notes out here. Quick start. Remember, whenever you are doing some manual configuration, these are expected. It does not match. And I have enabled the identity as well. I hope so. Why don't I just Google out? That's a unique number by AD. Stack Overflow help me. Right. So you need to change this. You need to change this. I had the same problem. I did that. Right. So configured for this application. Fine. Let's also review this notes out here. Anything I missed? 2 minutes, guys. I must have missed some steps. So, so I go here. I say this. Oh, this URL. We will return to the authentication type of this URL. So I think I gave the website name here, right? I hope I have not given something else. When I configured my app registration, okay, somewhere. How do I now go back and change my app registration? That is logout. Reply URLs. Something has been messed out here. Okay, so guys, I will leave this here. Must be I need to really check out, or I can let me give a last try. What I will do is let me do like this. We can just check, if something has gone wrong. Let me delete this app register, and let me do it once again manually. Let's check that what went wrong when I did automatically, right? So I can just go here, log in with this. Let's go ahead and just check that when he created it, what things were done. Don't do this in production the way I'm doing it here. It's right. I don't have one now, so you should give me that pop-up. Damn it, it's not giving me that pop-up of. I don't have an app.
Now it becomes angry with you, I think.
Yeah. No, actually, I wanted to see what, like when I created the app through this, right? Register app through this, what kind of configuration he did, which I did not do, right? Fine, guys. So I will leave it here. But the point is, if we can go back and compare, must be we can find it out. So must be after this class, I will just sit down and see that what is there, right? Must be you guys can also try it both the ways, right? But now let's go back to that question, because the goal was to answer this question. So here, look at the steps, what we need to do. The first thing is you will select an Azure AD instance. So you will go to an Azure AD instance, right? Okay. In that Azure AD instance, you will have an app registration. So you will actually go and click on this app registration, and you will say a new registration. And then you will give here the redirect URL. So when you create this new app registration, you get that account type, you get the name and so on. And so the answer over here is, this is the first step. First thing, all these other steps, I don't know, like cryptographic, we don't do user access. This is not a token based authentication. So this is gone off, right? So only what is pending is 1, 2, and 3. Now the sequence is you select the AD instance, right? Then you go and say app new, and then you provide your reply URL or the redirect URL, right? So this is 1, this is 2, 2, and this is 3, right? So that's the steps out here, right? Okay, so any questions? So guys, I'll just check, that part, that why that thing is not working, but let's not go into online R&D. Yeah, let me look at questions. So a lot of questions. Let me look at chat. Yes, what is bringing up the author? Yes, so Mani, I think I did some mistake out here. Yeah, fine, Prabha. Like at this moment, I made some mistake, so I hope that everybody has understood. There is a redirect URL, there is a reply URL. So something I've messed up. Okay. Okay, let's see now some questions in is coming blurred. Question support, can you see if it is coming blurred? Guys, is the Zoom coming blurred out here? Let me know. It's something I can. Is it coming blurred? No, okay. Okay, so let's see how to move your app from dev to production. How to move your app from dev to production in Azure. Divesh, like you will have 2 servers or 2 configuration, one app service, which is production, which will be a strong server. And you can use Azure DevOps. Look at the video of Azure DevOps. You can move your code to production. So can you show network call, how AD redirects the call? Yes. So yeah, Prabha. So I messed up with the Active Directory configuration out here. So must be, if I'd seen this question, I would have shown you the network. I'm so sorry. Yes. Okay, just there's a question here. What is the add a scope in authorization? If you remember in our previous class, we talked about the add scope. So when you add a scope, let's say you have a web API and you say that from this web API, only scope 1, you can only do get. Scope 2, you can only do post, put, and delete. So now what happens is when a client says, I want to go and subscribe, he will say that, okay, this is your scope. So your scope is not the full API, but only certain parts to it. So if you want to just give certain parts to the, to your client, then you will use the scope, right? So redirect URL and return URL. See, the redirect URL is actually the website. This return URL actually comes in your headers. So basically when I do an Active Directory login, he will actually send me a redirect URL, the return URL, saying that this is the return URL of the Active Directory of AD. So that they are both kind of different in terms of configuration. But I think, for us, we should just try to give that .aad callback is the return URL. The redirect URL is your website, the actual website where it should go, right? So one is more for the token. The return URL is for the token. Okay. So Naveen, why did we move from Zoom from go to training? Well, must be you can send me a mail. I can talk more in details about it. But very quickly, guys, what is happening is go to training was very great 5 years back. But this Zoom is new one. It is coming with a lot of features. If I want to stream to YouTube, if I want to do this, if I want to do that, right? In go to training, it was becoming extremely difficult. They are still having that legacy thing. So Zoom and other things, like even Microsoft Team is better, from that perspective. If you see, our website is also getting migrated to Teachable. So we are just trying to see that we go. Okay, let us take the next question out here. This is related to MFA, multi-authentication, multi-factor authentication. So let us have a look at it. It's again related to Active Directory. Let us see in this 30 minutes, we can cover up this question. You have a new Azure subscription, you are doing this. The website uses AD, right? And you want to go and configure multi-factor authentication. What is a multi-factor authentication? Multi-factor authentication means like 2 times authentication. So for example, I will say that I will put the username and password of the AD. Once it gets authenticated from AD, and when the response comes back, again, I will authenticate him through SMS, or I will authenticate him through something else, some questions, right? So multi-factor authentication means one is that you have an Active Directory, but on the top of it, you want to put an SMS authentication, email authentication, or something else, right? Now, point number 1, from all these options down below, multi-factor authentication comes with premium. Azure AD Basic is free. The Active Directory, what you use by default, is free. So the C option is definitely there. For Active Directory, for MFA, and anything extra, you need to have premium, right? The other steps we will look into. Okay, so let us go ahead and we have the website with us. Why don't we go ahead and we put a multi-factor authentication on the website? Means first, I will log in as a user. He will allow me in, but then he will say, okay, now extra things, put an SMS, put your phone number, right? So let us see if we can do that. So I'm going to go back here. Actually, I messed up with that authentication. I'll just put it off out here for now. I'll just save it. Right. So let me just make it off. So first thing, Azure Active Directory comes with, and let me do this. This app registration, something has gone really wrong out here. And what happened? Did I delete it? No, I did not delete it. I deleted it. Yes, I deleted for that comparison purpose, right? So guys, I've just gone ahead and I've just removed everything from here, right? Now we want to go and enable multi-factor authentication. Now remember, I'll go to Active Directory first thing, Azure Active Directory. Remember, you can have multiple Active Directories also for the same tenant, right? So if you want to do that, then you have to go and create new tenants out here. Fine. So we are here now and we want to go and enable MFA, multi-factor authentication. So first thing, we need to go to the security here, security. So I'm going to go to security and we will go to conditional access. I'm so sorry for the names out here. Conditional access means under what extra conditions you want to give access, right? So I'll go and click on conditional access. Now you can see here, because I have enabled Azure Premium, Azure Active Directory Premium, right? That's why, this new policy is enabled. If your, if you're using the basic AD, you will not get this enabled, right? So that's one part. So at this moment, it is already enabled. I say new policy out here, and I'll say policy, let us say MFA, like MFA test, right? So who are the users who will get affected because of this MFA? So let me go and select out here. Do not put yourself into MFA. You will lose the access of the portal. Be very, very careful, right? So what I've done is I've created one small user out here. So in the users and group, I will select this person out here called as some user at questpondvd.com. So this some user at questpondvd.com. So I'm logged in at this moment as Questpond, but this some user at questpondvd.com, if he logs in, he will get a double authentication. If Questpond at questpond.com logs in, he will not get a double authentication, right? So that's it. So remember, guys, be very careful. Do not put yourself into a mess. I think they also show some warning signs out here, but still people go and put everything yes, 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 and then they see that they cannot access the portal itself, right? So be very careful. Now this policy, what kind of things you want to do? For example, there are some ready-made apps, which they have already given. So for example, I can go and select one of the apps out here, which is the Azure Management Services. This Azure Management, what you have out here, if you select this, what this does is, it has, that it is, do not lock yourself. This policy impacts the whole Azure portal. Be very, very careful, right? Specify some other user. So this Azure Management, what it does is it will by default put SMS or email as a management, right? So I just selected it. But if you want, you can look into other apps also, which are there by default, right? So there it is. And I will say enable this policy. You can see here it is report only. Report only means what? Somebody has put that, but it is not enabled, right? Somebody put the SMS, but still he did not got access. No, I don't want to report only. I want him to grant the access, right? And grant the controls. Yes. When you're granting the access, he needs to have require multi-factor authentication. And yes, that's what it is, right? The other ones, guys, must be, we can have a new class for that. I don't want to go into that. So, when I see one option of Azure anywhere, right, I know that it will take 1 hour to explain. So just I skip that. So there it is. I have now created one more policy here called as MFA test, right? And now let us go to our website, Questpond app, and not even to the website now. Even I go anywhere now. For example, let me go to my portal out here. Let me just go to my portal azure.com. It's because it's now enabled all across the portal. So let me go and sign out from here. Right. if I now try to sign in here from by some different user, that's some user, Active Directory, Azure, some user at,
Someone at
yeah,
respond.com.
that name is so big. So someone at some user, I think. Oh, let me just quickly check it. Must be, you can also know how to go and create user as your Active Directory. So here we have users. I have added one user, some user, yeah, some user at Questpon VD, right? I'll say next. For this guy, if I now try to log in, I'm expecting a multi-factor authentication. You can see more information required. So when I say next, boom, like, okay, now tell me, you have to give something more to here, right? This is called as MFA. But now if I go and log in with that one, you know, the one which is Questpon, you can see it's already allowing me to log in, but still let me sign out here and let me try to go from Questpon, nothing, because he's not into MFA, right? Now let's go back to the question. This was an easy demo, but important one. So first is you have to upgrade to Azure AD Premium, that's there. Second, you have to create a new additional access policy. A new additional access policy. The answer is B and C. Now you can see there are certain things out here, like for example, baseline policy. Now remember, there is a baseline policy in AD. What the baseline policy says? The baseline says that, do you want to ensure that there is a baseline security? It does not talk about MFA. It just talks about that there is some baseline security, like, you know, you should have a username and a password. You should expire after a certain time. So this is definitely not related to MFA directly. That's the first thing. There is something called as application proxy. This is, you know, in case you want to log in, you know, via some other proxy or so. Again, this is not there. Azure AD B2C means business to client. So multi-factor authentication does not have anything related directly to business to client as such, right? AD can be for B2C, but B2C is a different concept, which is there. So the answer is, you need to create a conditional access. In that conditional access, you need to go and say, under what conditions, what is the condition of the second MFA, the second security, right? And it has to be Azure AD Premium. You know what Microsoft is trying to do in the exam? He's trying to just tell you that you have to pay money. So I didn't like this answer C out here, but they just want to make sure that you have chosen premium, right? So any questions here on the, okay, I'm sorry, I'm new to this training here. Let's not use the word dumps, you know, I would get. So that's AZ204. Guys, actually, you know what, I'm working on some of the answers are really wrong, which are there on the internet. So I just want to make sure that I give you the right answers, right? So I have all the questions and answers out here. But like, for example, if you search the previous answer, you will find that that answer has some extra steps selected unnecessarily, which is not there, right? So some answers are wrong or online. I'm trying to correct it. So must be you can request on Monday morning. I will give you proper answers, because last time, you know, when I gave that questions and answers, some people just somehow made it till the pass, right? So I want to just make sure that some of those answers are corrected. So any questions here? Yes. So must be on Monday morning, you can request it. If you put MFA for yourself instead of other, then where is the problem? Yeah, but money, then ensure that your phone number, etc., or something is proper, right? That's the only thing I'm saying. If let us say for some reason your phone number is wrong, or if your phone number has changed, and you know it's a US website, I know that we have a lot of regional Azure data centers. We have the call center, but who knows, like, you know, then what kind of thing you need to do. And you know what the problem is? If you lose the access, and if you have kept some servers running out there, for some reason your second authentication does not work, your bill is running, you will get a heart attack, right? So your main access, don't close it, right? Okay. Any other questions on MFA? Yeah, because that has happened to me lot of times. So like, so I manage like 20-25 Azure accounts of very big organizations. And specifically, I look into the billing, like how to reduce their bills. For example, because developers just select anything and everything. So, and also definitely security. A lot of people call me for security as well. They want to put an ADA. So I always see that they lock their main account off, or they have the 2-3 credit cards put all across it, and no management. right? Some other things are happening out there. So it's, remember, in Azure, like you can host your server really in like 1,000 rupees if you wish. And if you mess,
Correct.
your bills are gone up, right? Okay, any questions? So we have done with 2 questions out here. Uh, Now, very quickly, there is one more topic, but that topic will take more time. Means I had this telemetry. Telemetry means this is one of the questions which they expect in 204. When your Azure API or your web API, when there is an error, you want to catch it. You want to go and put telemetry information, right? So let me not take this because this will take more 30 minutes to demo, must be in the next class. But today, guys, I want to just talk about these 2-3 things out here from the vocabulary perspective, because these actually are covered in AZ 900, but still, we have certain things out here. One is, if there is any questions around these 2 demos, please put down in the chat. Here, there are 3-4 vocabularies which I want to talk about. Fault tolerance, high availability, and disaster recovery. Remember, your bills are, your Azure bills definitely, go up, the way you choose all of this, right? Now, fault tolerance and high availability and this this disaster recovery all look same, but they are very different actually, right? If you look at Azure, in Azure, we have regions, we have data centers. Inside the data centers, we again have sets. Inside the sets, we have racks, right? So when you say that you want something running in parallel, you want something running at the side, you want some backup happening, you want a full infrastructure to be copied in some other region, right? All is possible, right? But we need to understand the difference between all of them. And each one of these, pop up, every time you do some selection out there in Azure, right? First thing, disaster recovery, which is very different. You have a flood, you have war, you have earthquake, right? So here, you want to replace your whole infrastructure, your people, everything, this is not only about just computers. It is not just virtual machines. It is a lot of things, right? So this is different. So disaster recovery, that is disaster recovery, people and logistics and, everything out there, right? But now let's talk about fault tolerance. Your business says that I cannot afford downtime. So the next question comes is, let's say that we don't want such as your disaster recovery. Let us say as a company, you say, no, we don't want such big disaster recovery, but we want that at the machine level, at the hardware level, if something fails, can we just have a downtime? So we are now talking more at smaller level rather than the bigger infrastructure, right? So if first thing, if this is this, then disaster recovery, no, this is not that. Then the first question comes is that what is your affordable downtime? Means you will say that, now don't say that I cannot afford any downtime, right? There are some applications which can afford downtime, right? Because see, if you say you can't afford downtime, your cost increases as per that. So let us say you say that, oh, well, I can afford some downtime. Let us say yes, downtime, some downtime. When I say some downtime, must be 15 minutes to an hour, like that kind of, right? So in this case, what do you have to do? So you have a machine out here, a VM, right? The other VM, and let us say something happens wrong here, right? So what you will do is, you will just create a small backup of that VM with the SQL server, right? And whenever needed, you will restart that VM. Restart. I'm not saying keep running this VM at the site, but you will restart it. You will run your things out there. It can be automated, definitely, right? But here, there will be some downtime in terms of restarting, in terms of application getting deployed, in terms of database coming up, right? This is termed as high availability. High availability, this word means is that it is available, but it is just not running live, right? If you look at high availability in our normal without Azure or Amazon, you will go, you will procure, your procurement department will send some bills, then they will go to a hardware vendor, their hardware vendor will come after 2 days. So that kind of availability we had previously, but now here high availability means just one virtual machine, which can be just kicked off, started, and then the bill is only on one virtual machine and not 2 virtual machines, right? So here we expect some downtime, it is okay, and we don't want more bills, right? But now let's look at the next case where you say no, like no downtime. So if you say no downtime, that means you have a machine and you need to now keep one more machine running in parallel. and they should be synchronized because you cannot afford a downtime. And at the top, you will have some load balancer. I don't know what kind of thing you can have, so that, or not load balancer, but I'll say rather some kind of a switch, which can just switch from this to this, right? So when this goes down, so this is now running, right? And this just goes and switch out it. But remember, in this case, because you have two machines running, the synchronization happening, or the mirroring happening, or replication happening, right? Your cost is high. Here your cost is low, but here downtime is very less. So, you know, that magic figure everybody wants to achieve, the 5 nines, 99.99%, right? That is possible out here. So always remember that this is termed as fault tolerance, disaster recovery, and high availability. Now, why I'm talking about this? Because when it comes to Azure, right, people feel that when they select something, like for example, when they select redundancy, for example, in virtual machine, they sometimes go and select something very weird, and the bills just multiply like twice and thrice. So you need to be aware of these three things. So whenever you see that word disaster recovery or FT or HA, right, you need to be aware that what is Azure trying to communicate to you? Not only Azure, even Amazon or any other cloud, Alibaba, what do they mean by that word out there? Because they all have the same vocabulary, right? So again, this small three things out here, FT, HA, DR, and as well as, please note, I talked about scalability and I talked about flexibility. Again, these are two things different, right? Scalability means as load increases, you increase the server. Flexibility means you just decrease the server, right? Okay. Right. So any questions here? If you have any questions, I'm so sorry that these three things. Okay. Let me take some questions. What is this OpenID versus Active Directory? Well, OpenID can use Active Directory, Prabha. OpenID says that you need some kind of authentication and authorization, like a single sign-on. You log in here, you can log in anywhere else. So OpenID is talked about when you talk about OAuth. I will not go into that now. Must be we can take in some other class. OpenID, this word, first thing, authentication can be very personal, can be very specific. Somebody wants to use Active Directory, somebody wants to use LDAP, somebody wants to use Facebook, right? So this Azure Active Directory is Microsoft's way of doing valid, what you call authorization, authentication in Windows, right? But there is a bigger term here called as OAuth, right? This OAuth is a very different thing. This OAuth, I will not go into that now, but for this OAuth, you need an OpenID connect, right? This OAuth, what it says is that, let us say you have two websites, Facebook and some game application out here. You are a user here, you are a user here as well in the game. You want to register this game application into Facebook. You want to register this, authorize in the Facebook, you want to authorize this game application that you can use it, you can run it, right? Then this OAuth comes into picture, right? So it is more between applications. You want to take this application and run into this application, right? This OpenID comes into picture where, you know, an end user says that I want to put a username and a password, right? So OpenID is different, right? And the OpenID can use AAD for doing things. It can use the Facebook way of authentication. It can use, so how they do this authentication in between is all depending on what kind of security you have, right? So OAuth is a protocol on which OpenID is, and AAD is very specific to Microsoft's authentication and authorization. Okay, let's look at is HA pertains to VM? No, only not pass. So yeah, the HA and for me personally, now see, high availability nowadays and FT people have used it left and right. But for me, HA and FT, Amit, both pertains to a failure which is more very at a smaller level. Now that smaller level can be a cord going off, a hard disk conking off, your SQL server going down, right, or something. So HA and FT are both related to that. Disaster recovery is related to bigger things. You need to have a process at place. You will have a separate team, the security. I don't know if you look at disaster recovery in IT companies, you have those fun days when you say that there is a fire alarm and then you all go out there, right? So those kind of drills happen in disaster recovery. But fault tolerance and this has to be automated more. High availability and fault tolerance can be fully automated. You have a switch which just goes from this server to that server. You have an HA which says that, okay, let's start the server in some other location. So something happens in Hyderabad, let's start the Azure server in Bangalore, and let's start our business, right? So you can have, like, Azure can do the automation for you and failover for you, but like in terms of disaster recovery, it can take days. Also, like, recovery of disaster is more of days. Recovery of HA and FT are like hours and minutes. Like FT, you can't afford downtime, but the downtime again is dependent on the type of this. So yes, so FT, I said again, in fault tolerance, both of the machines are running, Amit. In HA, the other machine is not even available, right? Only the Azure network knows if something happens wrong out here, I need to go and just spawn up a new VM and I need to do it, right? But HA, so that is HA. But in fault tolerance, you will actually create two VMs. You will actually create a load balancer, I don't know, the hypervisor or whatever, right? And you will say that, hey, like, switch from here to here, right? So two applications, two servers will be in sync of having the complete state of the application right from the database and everything, to the same level. DR option costing, yes, it's so DR option costing money. It is very high. I have never done DR on Azure, but I do know that bigger IT companies do it, and they have a separate SLA for it. And there, the private cloud and public cloud, those things actually come into picture. So it's a very different thing. See, in disaster recovery, the problem is, like, people are also involved. So Azure cannot bring people for you, right? Microsoft, so let's say you have a data entry operator, they cannot put out people for you. Something, it's not really, it cannot be automated, I feel so completely. Yes, it has the highest cost money. Okay, guys, thank you very much.